Thank you all for being here this morning. Just want to honor all y'all. There's lots of things you can do your Saturday morning. One of the hardest things in ministries is to get dudes together. You could be grilling in preparation for the games. You could be sleeping. But you came here to study God's word. So I want to honor all of y'all for being here. I want to honor Pastor Tucker for putting this together and for prioritizing bringing the men together here, because it is important that we have each other. So I want to introduce you a bit to my story. We're going to start 12 years in the past. The worst day in history, August 1st. Your birthday is August 1st. Don't tell me, I don't want to know. But August 1st, 2012, I thought I was in terrible shape. Ended up diagnosed with cancer. I was trying to go for a run, a minute in, completely out of breath, pain in my chest. And they find a tumor about the size of a softball in my left lung. And one of my uncles made a joke, he's like, how does Zack end up with lung cancer? He's never even had secondhand smoke, Just unlucky, whatever. So August 1st, 2012, got that first cancer diagnosis. Next summer, it moved up into my brain. August 1st, 2019, so 7 years later, my wife has a miscarriage. The same day, my mother is diagnosed with brain cancer. We called her first. She didn't tell us yet because she didn't want to do the double bad news. She told us a couple days later. I'm like, man, August 1st stinks. But, I pulled through my cancer then. My mom pulled through hers. We adopted a daughter, and we have a biological son now. So we've got a 2.5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old. And another August 1st story. I want to be careful the way I say this. Is in 2022. Social media is terrible. There's not a lot of positive that happens on there, but I try to post when I can ways that God's been showing His love for me in my life. And so on August 1st, 2022, I believe I posted on Facebook. We had our daughter at the time. My mom and I were doing well health-wise, so I posted on there like, hey, look at what kind of God's redeemed through this. I'm healthy. My mom's healthy. We have my daughter. And it's kind of funny, someone comments on there, God is faithful to all His promises. And He is. God is faithful to all of His promises. And I didn't have the nerve to actually comment something back, but in my head, I was like, would God not be faithful to His promises if I was dead? My mom was dead. We have no kids. No, He said God's still faithful to His promises. He never particularly promised anything with regards to my health, having a child. I want to be balanced in that because I think God does provide those things, and I believe He's sovereign in that. And so as I go through this season, it wasn't August 1st again. It was 2 days before August 1st. July 30th, they found a tumor in my brain. It's pretty wild. I get regular checkups since I've had cancer in the past. And just 4 months before, in March of this year, there's nothing. I had a checkup. No evidence of disease at all. So the time I got to the doctor, they were like, there's no way it could have gotten this bad, this fast. I was having pretty bad headaches. But lo and behold, the cancer had returned. I had a surgery on August 21st to get the tumor removed. And everything was looking pretty good. They found no cancer anywhere else in my body. The 25th, 4 days after surgery, I had a Mike Piazza-themed birthday party. Because I'm a Mets fan. I turned 31. 31 was Mike Piazza's number. So I'm going to try to get out to the batting cage if I can. But I was feeling great. And everything seemed like it was up and to the right. And I just kept feeling worse and worse. I was like, what's going on? And so the tumor has just apparently been spreading like crazy. And a few days ago, got a call from one of my doctors that I'd be blessed to live another 6 months. So we're in miracle zone here. So we're needing God to come through, and that's what we're believing for in this season. That's why I'm like, Tucker, I need to get up here like now. I don't know how long I'm going to be coherent. And especially with once a guy, it's tough to feel weak like I've been feeling. Getting some numbness in my hands and feet. And I told my buddy Todd, the lowest moment of my life happened recently where I had to ask my wife to open a jar for me. That's not how it's supposed to happen. I'm the jar opener. But so it's tough, but it's great. With Tucker talking about being surrounded by guys, I've had so many guys in my corner in this season, different people providing meals for us, helping me out. It's so great to be part of community. I don't know what I'd do without Christian community in this season, so I'm so grateful for guys like y'all. And so that's a little catch up to where I am now. Things aren't looking great health-wise for me, but we're confident in God's ability to pull it through however that happens. And one of the things working at the college with Tucker, I was the discipleship director for a while. And so my goal as the discipleship director was to set the students up for whatever their Christian life would look like after they left Bayside College. Because most of the people at Bayside College live pretty close to family. They're around the same community they grew up in. So the destination postcard I would give them was, I'm preparing you for when you move to Cheyenne, Wyoming, a place where you don't know anybody, you have no family. And so far, I don't think any of the students that he ever had probably don't even know where Wyoming is. And so that was the vision, how to be a Christian kind of on your own, knowing how to find community and things like that, to not end up staying on your own. And my first battles with cancer were preparation for that, in a sense of having a general idea of, call an eternal perspective of I could have died from this, and it changes your priorities. Am I gonna, at the time I was in college, do you keep going for the 4.0 GPA to get this job, to get that job, to get that house, to get whatever? It changes the way you think about things. No, maybe I should be investing more in church, maybe more in things that have eternal value. But gosh, it hits different when it's I could have died theoretically to I might have 6 months. So what do I do tomorrow? It really hits different. And I think the biggest thing that's been helpful for me in going through this season that I want to share with y'all, and going through any type of suffering, comes from 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 16 through 18. 1 Corinthians 4 is a very personal, or 2 Corinthians 4, sorry. 2 Corinthians in general is very personal, and Paul writing to the Corinthians, and what he says in verses 16 to 18, especially, so this is 2 Corinthians chapter 4, I'm in the NIV, any translation will do fine for you. He says, therefore, we do not lose heart, though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen, since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. And so that's been a big comfort for me. One of the most important principles for studying the Bible is when there's a therefore, you need to ask, what's the therefore? Therefore. Why is Paul saying not to lose heart? Why would Paul lose heart? Why shouldn't he? If you look earlier in this letter, in the very beginning, in chapter 1, basically talks about how he's been getting the stuffing beat out of him in his ministry. Chapter 1, verse 8 in 2 Corinthians says, we do not want you to be uninformed, brothers and sisters, about the troubles we experienced in the province of Asia. We were under great pressure, far beyond our ability to endure, so that we despaired of life itself. Indeed, we felt we had received the sentence of death. But this happened that we might not rely on ourselves, but on God who raises the dead. He has delivered us from such a deadly peril, and he will deliver us again. And on him we have set our hope that he will continue to deliver us as you help us by your prayers. Then many will give thanks on our behalf for the gracious favor granted us in answer to the prayers of many. So in the ministry Paul's going through, they're on the verge of death. but God continues to show up and deliver them. And for that reason, he continues to not lose heart, to trust in God, to continue to deliver him. As you get further into 2 Corinthians, he talks about all the times he's been whipped and shipwrecked and all that he's been through, and how God continues to show up. And so he has this confidence because of what God has done. And even in a near context, a couple verses before, verse 14 of chapter 4, it says, because we know that the one who raised the Lord Jesus from the dead will also raise us with Jesus and present us with you to himself. So not only is there this earthly deliverance that God has provided for Paul, but there's also this future hope of resurrection with Jesus. That's what I keep telling people with my situation. I win no matter what, If I'm healed in this life, great, God gets the glory for that. If, this season ends through death, I'm with Jesus. I get the easy part. I get to close my eyes and wake up in glory. That's what I appreciate so much. Whatever it is that we're going through, this verse 18 in chapter 4, we fix our eyes not on what is seen, what is unseen. Since what is seen is temporary, but what is once unseen is eternal. I can remember that this season that I'm going through right now, it's temporary one way or another. It's going to end with God healing me, which is what I hope for, or it's going to end with eternity in heaven. Either way, this is a temporary season, and God is what's forever. So it's important to keep that focus there, and so that's what I'm clinging to in this season. Hoping it's some more years here, especially with the kids and the wife and all that. But confident that God can handle whatever we've got. People kind of make jokes sometimes. I guess it's not really a joke, but like with tithing, for instance, God can do more with 90% of your income than you can do with 100. I'm like, yeah, God can probably do more with my kids than I can. I'd rather be with them, but similar sort of thing. But one thing as I think about how to prepare for Cheyenne, Wyoming, what Christian life is out there for whatever you might encounter, you don't think about impending death too often. And I think something that we miss a lot in church, in our worship and such, is lament is a biblical concept that we don't see too much. The book of Psalms is over 1/3 lament psalms, but our worship songs are like 95% praise, whatever you would call them. They're very positively toned, not in a very minor key. So I just wanted to take a moment before handing the mic back over for some discussion time to look at a lament psalm, Psalm number 13, and how it's okay to bring our complaints to God. God doesn't mind it. He sure published a lot of it in the Psalms. So in Psalm 13, we have a Psalm of David. He says, "How long, Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long must I wrestle with my thoughts, and day after day have sorrow in my heart? How long will my enemy triumph over me? Look on me and answer, Lord my God. Give light to my eyes, or I will sleep in death. And my enemy will say, I have overcome him, and my foes will rejoice when I fall. But I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. I will sing the Lord's praise, for he has been good to me." So we have this 6-verse psalm, and the first 4 is pretty much all complaint. God, I don't get it. Things aren't looking good right now. This is going to make you look bad if things continue this way. Then verses 5 and 6, he turns to trust in God and say, God, you've been faithful. Your love's been unfailing. I continue to trust in you. So just want to encourage you that if you're going through tough times, God has no problem with your complaints. He can take them. But it's important that with those that we do maintain that trust. And that's where I feel I'm at, where I'm like, hey, God, I don't get it. This isn't the plan I would pick for me, but you've been faithful before, and I'm going to trust you through it. And so don't forget about those kind of minor key passages that often get overlooked. Now, before I hand things back to Pastor Tucker to discussion, I just want to give you all some guidance on how you can be praying for me particularly. So I'm starting, a couple of days ago, started my radiation treatment. They're doing radiation on my brain. I'm doing some chemotherapy that I'm going to be starting today. And so my particular type of cancer, it's called high-grade glioma. So it's a brain cancer that's it's really sneaky. Basically, the cancer cells kind of blend in with the healthy cells. So they're hard to get. There's not exactly a cure for it. The way to beat it, basically, is for the radiation to do better than it's supposed to do and to kill these cells that it's not expected to kill. So that these radiation treatments, this chemotherapy, would knock out all these cells. They wouldn't come back. Because what typically happens is, they miss some, it starts growing back, and it's just a continuous cycle of beating them back and on, and it's just this iterative process. So the hope is that this round of treatment will knock them all out, and even bigger than, I don't know, I guess both. I would love to be healed. But bigger than that is probably my family, my wife, Joy. We've been married for 7 years. We've got our 2 little kids who thankfully don't understand too much yet. But just, it's going to be harder on them than it'll be for me if I'm not going to be here much longer. It's just praying for my wife and family and all that, for strength. Even now, because I can hardly do anything. She's taking care of the kids all the time right now. So if you could pray for my wife, pray for the kids as they go through this, it's going to be harder on them than it'll be on me. If I die, I close my eyes, I wake up in glory, but then they've got to go on without me. So just pray for my treatment to kill more cells than it should. Pray for my wife and kids for strength for them in this tough season. Thanks again for coming out here to the Brotherhood Breakfast.